get started. My name's Kat with GetCatFit. I'm a promoter, a pro athlete, a personal trainer, and a group fitness instructor. And I have an awesome panel of athletes and promoters here for you guys because I can speak for all of us to say that we love this sport and we love helping new people to get into it and answer their questions, because I know for me personally, I didn't quite have all my questions answered at the beginning, and I learned so much every competition. So hopefully we'll be able to answer some of your guys' questions and give you some fun life experiences we've had from competing. I'm going to let Leif introduce himself.
So my name is Leif Anderson. I'm up in Minnesota. I'm an event promoter through the INBA, PNBA. I promote 9 events. I'm also a judge. I was head judge at Team USA. I've been on the international judging panel at the Natural Olympia. Pretty much across the board at every level of the sport through countless federations. I've sat on their judging panels. I'm also a contest prep coach, approaching 200 client pro cards earned, and numerous natural Mr. Olympia champions, natural universe champions, world champions. So like Kat and I were talking about earlier, wear many hats in the sport, and I mean, it definitely is my passion. So I'm honored to be here.
We're going to turn. We'll have Zach.
Zach, I'm down in Naples with Kat. I own my business, Sport Functional Fitness. I'm a trainer. I competed in multiple natural shows, OCB and NGA. Finished up, my last show was last October, I believe. Lightweight natural bodybuilder, and yeah, prep coach, help out with that and train. Yeah, whatever I can do that deals with bodybuilding, I try to do.
Love it. We have Scott Carter.
Hey, I'm Scott. I'm also down in Southwest Florida in Estero, and I also work with Kat. Personal trainer, mainly working with older folks. And I, 3 years ago, decided I wanted to compete after basically a lifelong of wanting to, and I just pulled the trigger 3 years ago when I was 48. I do Masters Physique, mostly NPC shows, and I guess as a late bloomer, my first year I did okay, and then second, third year I've won everything that I entered. So I think I'm just getting hot now. It's a shame I'm too damn old.
You're never too old.
But I'm glad to be here, and nice to meet you guys.
All right, and since we do have a small group, why don't we introduce our athletes too? Rico, do you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Alfred and Kurt? I'm just going off how you guys are positioned on my screen, so no particular order. So Rico.
No problem. Hey, I'm Rico, PNBA Classic Physique Pro. Been competing for about how many years, Leif? Since you did the first Michigan State show?
So it had been, I think, going on 4 years now. I think 3 years going on 4, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And multiple federations, UFE, ANBF, I believe. Have you competed in the ANBF?
No, I've only competed in your show and UFE.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Force to be reckoned with.
Hey, I got to rock with you, man. Yeah, so yeah, Leif is a great guy. Any information you need, any tips, help you need, reach out to him. He motivates me like crazy. When I don't feel like competing, he just makes me want to just get to it. So yeah, Leif is a really great guy.
That's awesome. Thank you, Rico. Alfred, I want to wait till you put your food in your mouth. You're up next.
Again, my name is Alfred Edmond Jr. I'm a master's now. This is my first year as a 60-plus bodybuilder. Turned 60 in March. Been competing. My current competition history has just been, this is my 4th year. I competed for about 4 years from like age 38 to 42 in a federation called Natural Bodybuilding, Inc. It was a small, well, it seemed small to me, but I did it for 4 years. Then went 15 years without competing. And in 2017, decided to come back. I entered a DFAC show in New Jersey. I live in North Jersey, New York metro area, but Northern Jersey, right outside Newark. And surprisingly, doing that show as a comeback show, got invited to compete as a Masters 50+ amateur in the DFAC World Finals. Knew before I stepped on the plane that I was not even close to ready for that level of competition. But my attitude toward life is you won't get ready unless you do it. So just do it and take your lumps and learn as you go. Got invited back the second year and got 4th place in my class in the DFAC World Finals. I'm a member of the DFAC, member of the OCB and NGA. Competed in those pretty much those three natural bodybuilding organizations, and got my first pro card this past October in the OCB Chesapeake Classic as a Masters pro card, not a general pro card, because I got first place in the Masters 40+ class in the OCB Chesapeake Classic in Baltimore this past year. So I've been trying to do my first show as a pro, and it keeps getting pushed back. So right now I'm training technically for OCB Big Apple in Brooklyn on August 1st, assuming it happens, on the campus of Long Island University, which I hope happens because my 2 older kids live in Brooklyn, and my daughter's a graduate of Long Island University, and so it would be really cool to do that show, but we'll see.
Nice. Congratulations. That's awesome, Alfred.
Thank you.
All right, Kurt, tell us about.
Hello. Well, as Kat already said, yeah, my first show was going to be the Florida Surge, and then 2 weeks after that would have been the NGA Gator Classic, but both have been canceled. I've been, doing the bodybuilding process for 10 years, but it took me that long to get to where I am today because I started at only 130 pounds. So finally, I was like getting really close to being able to compete, and of course, this whole global pandemic happened.
Cool. All right. Well, even though we can't compete, we have an awesome panel here to answer your competition questions. I did want to start out, though. We had a really cool question, and I think you guys might appreciate this, and I'm going to have the panel answer it. But one of the questions was, what is something you learned a few competitions in that you wished you had learned sooner? So I'm going to let Zach start off with that one. And there's a couple more parts to this question, but I think it's good for other athletes to hear. Like, we weren't all just out here rocking and rolling. We've had our share of things.
I'd say at the beginning, I wish I would have enjoyed it more, like enjoyed the whole process. I do now. I enjoy it a lot now, but at first it was just an end goal, just trying to get there, but it didn't. No, I enjoyed it, but not like I should have. And then even now, I still probably don't enjoy it enough. Like, I look back at pictures and I thought I was not in very good shape. And I was like, man, I look good, but I wasn't. I looked at myself different. Man, or just stop, look at yourself, man, look good, keep that motivation going, and that would have helped me. That's one big thing for me. Just
Enjoy the process, the entire process.
Yep.
I like that. Scotty, what about you?
Well, I would say, did you say Scotty or did you say me or
Scotty,
something?
Scott.
Okay. I would say to Kurt, I don't know what you plan on entering, but I recommend crossing into different classes if you can, just to get more experience. I don't know if you're doing the novice, but jump into open, jump into an age category if they have it. Like, the more you do, the better. My first show, I just did, masters, but I wish I would have done different. To see how you stack up with other people, and just figure you put all this work in, might as well enter as much as you can.
Get your stage time, right? Get your
Yeah.
The first time you hit the stage, you might be jittery. By the third time you go on, you're like an old pro.
And then, the more you're on stage, the more the judges are going to remember you. And, it doesn't hurt.
That was a lesson I learned the hard way in 2018, I guess it was. I entered a show, I think it was an NGA show, and I entered the Masters 50+ class, and the promoters kept inviting me to do the open. And because of self-doubt, I was like, well, younger guys, I'm probably not ready for that. And then what you learn is that often the masters competitors are actually, since they've been doing it longer, they're better competitors. They got years of experience. And in that particular show, if I had done the open, I would have gotten at least second. But I talked myself into believing that, oh, I'm an older guy, I can't. And you know, my promoter and my coach was like, dude, just trust the work you put in and don't worry about where you're going to fall, because I had a chance to do well in the open class in that particular show, because you never know who's going to show up and how prepared they are. And so now my rule is I'm going to enter every class that I'm eligible for, that I've done the work. As long as I can actually do a good performance and be, you know, have the energy to get through it, I'm going to do it.
Cool. What about you, Leaf?
So I guess when it really comes to a newer competitor and then the evolution of a bodybuilder, probably two things that it's kind of always best to learn. Wish we would have known from the beginning. One is, you know, I know obviously, regardless of your division, you know, this is a physique sport, and that's why everybody puts so much time and effort, sacrifice into training, nutrition. But this is just as much a presentation sport as it is a physique sport. At the end of the day, you know, the judges can only judge, they can only assess what you show them. So I know that we got an hour cardio, we got an hour weight training, you know, 6 meals time to the hour, and all too often competitors you know, they may practice their posing, but almost as an afterthought. You know, and it really has, it's all about posing. I mean, you can you can get beat by a lesser physique if your presentation is off. So one of the things is, I know there's only hours in a day and we all live very busy lifestyles, but you need to make the time every single day to practice your craft. You know, if you are a bodybuilder, whether you're a bikini competitor, classic physique competitor, that presentation aspect has got to be a discipline for you. And it's not going through the motions. It's not posing like somebody else. You pose to showcase your own strengths while minimizing and hiding your own weaknesses. You pose like you. And unfortunately, that takes time. And especially as your physique evolves, your posing is also going to need to be tweaked a little bit. Foot placement, hand positioning. You know, sometimes when we're 12 weeks out, we may think that a certain pose is like, that's our money shot. But as we get leaner, we may notice a different angle or a different position really showcases the physique to the fullest potential. So that's definitely one thing, is to put the time into posing. The other thing, this actually counters Zach a little bit, which I agree with Zach 100%. You know, enjoy the process. You know, this is a lifestyle. You know, really, really enjoy it. But on the flip side, there's a lot of individuals, and I understand, like instinctively, I understand where they're coming from, but they look at ways to make the process easier. What can I do to make this more enjoyable? You know, whether it's motivation to go to the gym, or whether it's flavor for their meals, and they're always looking for a way to make this easier. And again, my little disclaimer before I go into this, I believe what Zach said, enjoy the process. But at the same time, you gotta embrace the suck. Because I mean, if you're always looking for a way to make this easier, you're actually increasing your likelihood that you're gonna falter. And every day you're needlessly, you know, you're increasing the likelihood that you are going to deviate from your nutrition. Every day, there's a missing part of the equation if you're always looking for something that's simply not there. Because even in an optimal prep is not easy. I mean, if you want to reach world-class conditioning, if you want to truly reach your potential on stage, you got to get out of your comfort zone. So instead of always looking for a way to make this easier, I really believe the easiest way to prep is to acknowledge the fact it hurts physiologically and psychologically. So embrace the suck, as you know, as kind of cliche as that sounds. I believe, especially for a new competitor, I think that's an essential component to prep. Just realizing there's no way that this can be easy. And that's why not everybody's capable of reaching the stage. But with our small, niche family, that's the reason why true bodybuilding, again, whether it's bikini, physique, bigger bodybuilding, it'll never be, we're not going to be able to reach the masses because it's uncomfortable and there's no escaping that. So one thing is practice your posing. The other thing is embrace the suck. Those are two things that I wish that I would have realized a little bit earlier in my career. But I think it's one thing for somebody to, for somebody to tell you that is one thing. I think you actually need to experience our sport to fully appreciate it. So.
Yep. No, I like that. That's good. So I like that's back to too what you said too, Zach. And you can enjoy it and still embrace the suck and be enjoyable. Because if you don't embrace it, you're not going to make it. I mean, you're going to get to the point where it's just too much, too hard. But if you actually find the enjoyment in the suck wherever you can and don't cut corners, then I think that's what makes a good athlete.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, Kat. I think that's with what Zach said and then what I mentioned. Zach said about enjoying the process, and when I had said about embracing the suck, that is a synergistic relationship. They complement each other. Where by embracing the suck, you can't wake up every morning with that negative mentality, complaining not only to yourself but to others. I mean, not only is that self-sabotage for you, you're bringing everybody else around you down with you.
Get on the stage.
Yeah, so nobody wants that. You don't want that. Your spouse doesn't want that. So I think embracing the suck, but every day being happy that you even have the opportunity to go through this. I think that is an essential component. So embracing the suck, but being positive.
I love it. Okay, now as we go ahead, I'm just doing that question. There were a couple of really good questions that came up from our earlier call, and I just want to make sure that you guys didn't have anything additional. So Alfred, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask these guys? And we'll kind of go through Lee, Zach, and Scott. And again, yeah, I'm getting some feedback from somebody, so I might mute people. I'm going to mute everybody, and then I'll unmute the panel, and then we'll open the floor. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to mute everybody. Okay, there we go. Much better. Can you guys hear me still? Okay,
yes.
I'm going to unmute Leaf. I'm going to unmute Scott. Maybe, yes, and I'm going to unmute Zach. Where's Zach? Zach, I don't see you on here. Hold on a second. Paul, can you help me out? I got Zach over here. So we're going to start with, oh, there you are. All right.
There we go.
All right. Okay, Kurt, I'm going to open the floor. Or did I say Alfred? I said Alfred. Alfred, I'm going to open the floor to you. And you go ahead and ask a question. We'll let Leaf, Zach, and Scott answer it. And again, everyone's going to have we might have different opinions on stuff. Again, it's a very individualized sport. So let's just keep that in mind too.
So my question was, and part of this is I don't know how much of this is in my head and how much this is an actual factor in competition. But I'm often on stage, especially in the 50+ class, with guys who have sometimes 25 years of competition experience. And I have a total of 7 or 8, and really the past 4 is what I really count, 3 or 4. And I often wonder how much of that is in my head and how much of that is a real factor in my ability to be competitive when I'm facing guys who are literally veterans of the stage with decades of experience of competing.
So it's, Kat, do we just, anybody jump in?
No, we'll go Leaf. We'll have Leaf, Zach, and Scott. We'll go in that order.
Okay, so an absolutely great question. Not only does that apply to what Alfred is experiencing in master's classes, I think it can be really applied to almost everybody, where they almost get into their own head a little bit too much. So obviously, trusting the process, if you have a prep coach, trusting what they're saying, I think is really, really important. At the same time, though, if you surround yourself by, I will loop around to a direct answer, but if we surround ourselves by yes men, blowing sunshine up your butt, you go in with a false delusion. Eventually reality has to set in because you got to step on stage eventually. So some of it is in your head. I think some of that is just human nature, self-doubt. At the same time, we can't be delusional in the fact that saying that doesn't matter or that doesn't exist. A lot of people, especially natural bodybuilding, it just takes time. And you get into those masters categories, in addition to having that beautiful muscle maturity, they've been plugging away for 10, 20, 30 years. Now, like with you specifically, you've been plugging away for 8 years. I've never seen your physique, but you're evolving as a bodybuilder. According to your placings, you're doing very well. But we got to understand, what can we control? Is the fact that you're being outweighed by 20 pounds because masters categories are by age, is the answer, well, you need to stop competing until you're big enough to hang with them? The answer is no. I mean, so worrying about that too much, am I big enough? Which again, that can apply to pretty much every age category. Am I big enough? Oh, I'll compete when I'm bigger. Or that's one thing where, always strive for bodybuilding, but that doesn't mean that we stay away from the stage. The other thing is, we get to that elite caliber stage, that world stage, everybody's in shape. You got the best of the best. From that point down, though, in our regional shows, our state level shows, regardless of the federation, everybody is in shape, but very few are dialed in 100%. So although identify things that you need to improve, overall muscle mass or a certain body part, and address those. Take enough time in the off season, because there is no fast forward button on natural muscle growth. Give yourself enough time to grow. But when it comes to actually setting your sights on a show, on a stage, committing to that, I think the one thing that you need to make sure of, because this is one thing that is in your power to control, make sure that you are dialed in 100%. As a promoter, as a head judge, we have our judges meetings before every show. One of the things that I always remind my judging panel, we cannot judge on potential. If you're not in shape, if somebody has an amazing physique, truly a world-class physique, but they're still 6 weeks out, a lesser bodybuilder, and we factor in posing presentation, that individual who may have world-class genetics, round muscle bellies, a lot of muscularity, you can beat somebody who's genetically superior. You outwork them. So that's the answer. Some of it might be in your head. So I think a lot of this positive mental attitude will help address that. Some of it is a reality. So address that, continue to grow. But I think is you take that into consideration, the whole size aspect, and that means you need to work harder with your presentation, and you need to ensure that you are sliced and diced without, this is not you don't want to look like you're training in a concentration camp. This is bodybuilding. You never want to inhibit, holding on to that hard-earned muscle. But if you come in with truly world-class conditioning, which I'll be honest with you, not everybody's blessed with perfect muscle bellies, big, round muscle bellies, great muscularity. Granted, we can always improve, but not everybody's blessed with that. But every single person on this planet, I don't care what your limitations are, you can get shredded. You may have hurdles that are in your way, whether it's an underactive thyroid, whether, there's so many variables, and those are real, but that's not an excuse. You may need to try some different things, learn how to work with your body as opposed to against it. But you outwork those individuals that have another 15 years of experience on you. And you just make sure you outwork them. You outpose them, and you be willing to go where maybe they're not when it comes to dieting? Again, without ever sacrificing stage muscle. So in the meantime, I mean, keep growing, and I hope to see you in the sport in 10 years and 20 years still plugging away. But in the meantime, I'll condition them. And I promise you, with a good judging panel, that will be rewarded. That will be rewarded. It's a subjective sport, so not every panel, sometimes we're human. But if I was a bet man, I would put my money on the person that is dialed in, regardless of their weight, within reason. So
Awesome. Thank you, Leaf. Zach, what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'll piggyback off Leaf. He kind of touched on it a little bit. I would say one thing that the seasoned athletes have that that have 10 or 15 more years is their posing. They've got their posing dialed in as well, so they know how to show off their strengths and hide their weaknesses, and that might that could be the final say too. Is they could have 15 years on you, but if your posing's better and you guys look the same, but your posing's better, then go to you. So I've learned that the last 2 years is my posing. Like, it's helped me so much more, and I can just make everything pop. Having that someone watching you pose, if you can, have an eye there, put your phone up and see what poses help you bring out your legs better, which just a little slight turn of the leg, just little things. That's big help, and that could be the final say there.
I like that. What about you, Scotty?
I might be different with my answer than most people, but I'm not even competing against anybody except myself. So I'm just trying to get into the best shape I can. And, we're taking pictures every day, every other day. I'm just trying to improve upon myself. And it goes back to what Leaf said, control the controllable. That's the only thing you can do, and not let it get hung up in your head. Bodybuilding is different than other sports. You're not even going to know who you're competing against, unless you happen to have guys in the same town or whatever. So all you can do is just prepare the best you can, and then let the chips fall where they may.
100%.
All right. Kurt, we're going to go to you for a question. Do you have any questions you'd like the panel to answer?
Oh, yes. I mean, the biggest thing I've been struggling with trying to get ready for the competitions, although this whole quarantine has made things a lot harder, not having a gym and cardio equipment like I used to. But my body doesn't want to seem to get below 10% body fat, no matter everything that I do, cardio, fasting, just completely cutting out sugar and carbs, and just being on a caloric deficit when I'm training. And my body just does not want to go below 10%. And I just wonder, what am I doing wrong? Or is there something I'm missing?
So, obviously with this panel, actually with any leader in the industry, with any so-called expert in the industry, we all have different views. And I always respect other people's views as long as there's they can explain the how and the why behind why they recommend what they recommend. Not only are different professionals' views different, just in general with their philosophies, we gotta take into consideration every individual, like you. So the same question asked by somebody else may elicit a completely different answer. Whether it's myself, Zach, or Scott, our answers are going to be a little bit watered down because we don't know exactly where you're at right now, physique-wise, metabolic baseline, cardio baseline. All these things do need to be factored in. So we are answering just a little bit in general. Now, going into your exact question, a lot of people kind of struggle with that same question. And it's almost as if they're fighting the body, kicking and screaming for every ounce of fat loss. And so it's a very common question. And a lot of people think, especially if they have a show lined up, they just want to keep pedal to the metal. And they have the mentality, I will do whatever it takes. I will keep suffering. I'll eat less. I'm going to do more cardio. I'll take more fat loss supplements. And they're looking for a secret sauce to address your question. Now, if anybody's advice, I mean, obviously, if you have a coach, you listen to your coach. That is always, if you're always looking for answers from anybody, that's a good thing and bad thing about social media. Everybody has an answer. Like if you have anybody, another set of eyes, which I really, really recommend having somebody else. I don't care how knowledgeable you are. I do recommend getting a coach. That way you just put it on autopilot. Like, you know, so I really recommend that. So if you have a coach, listen to the coach, regardless of what myself, Kat, Zach, or Scott say. My knee-jerk answer, my instinctive answer for you, and I know that your spring shows are canceled. I don't know what your plans are from here. But the human body is so incredibly adaptive. And a lot of people, they encounter your question. This may not necessarily apply to you, but your question. And they think, what do I need to do from here? They think something's wrong with what they're doing. When the real answer is, you need to give your body hormonally, metabolically, and I guess even psychologically, you need to give your body a better starting point for your prep. You know, at the end of the day, obviously it's more complex. The human body's more complex than this, but you know, a lot of thermodynamics. You know, you're so incredibly adaptive. You drop your kcals, 200 calories per day, your metabolism simply acclimates. That's human biology. Eventually, how low can you go? So in your scenario, I'm assuming I've seen you a little bit on social media. I've seen your physique evolve before my very eyes. Your question, it doesn't seem like, my body doesn't want to get below 10%. You know how you address that? You increase your metabolic capacity, you lower your cardio output, you give your body a better starting point. So again, these are just arbitrary numbers, but let's say you reprime your body, you pull back that proverbial metabolic slingshot, you get your calories, maintaining your current physique. So there's no cookie cutter way to do this. You need to make sure that your metabolism is acclimated, both metabolically and hormonally, that your body's acclimating to a reverse diet. But just imagine, after all that you've done and you've seen progress, imagine starting your prep at 20 weeks out with your current physique, where it's at right now, yet your food is sky high and you're not doing any cardio, and yet that's your baseline. So now you're up to 3,800. Again, these are just arbitrary numbers. You're up to 3,800 calories per day, maintaining that weight. You drop it down to 3,600, whereas right now you are just seemingly spinning your wheels. Imagine going from 38 to 3,600 calories and you lose body fat. Your new cardio baseline is 0. You're maintaining your conditioning, your current weight, with no cardio, which it can absolutely be done. Now imagine, so that's your new baseline, and now at 20 weeks out, you add in 2 sessions of 20 minutes of missed cardio. Now you're losing body fat. Whereas right now, again, I don't know what you're doing. Right now you're doing an hour cardio a day and you're not losing any fat, thinking, well, what else do I need to do? Yet you give your body a better starting point and you reintroduce something as simple as a couple 20-minute sessions. Now you're losing body fat. That's the process of bodybuilding. And that's one thing where the sport was, I just said, embrace the suck. I talked about how difficult the sport is, but it's not as difficult. It takes sacrifice, but it should never be confusing. Right now, there's confusion of, why isn't my body responding? There is a recipe for success out there for you. It's still going to take execution. It's still going to take sacrifice, but it should never be confusing. So when you're in it, it's hard to identify these things. So I don't want to belittle your struggles. That's where like a prep coach would come in, or even you yourself taking a step back, this outside of yourself for a moment, and looking at the whole process. And even if you want to compete, maybe if you're still around that 10% body fat and you've been dieting for a while, maybe the optimal answer, it may not be what you want to hear, but maybe the answer is to transition into an off season, transition into not to bulk up. Natural bodybuilding, bulking up should not be in your equation, you know. And when it comes to muscle growth, you know, you can't force a muscle to grow naturally. You know, like I was talking to Alfred, you know, we should always strive to get bigger, to put on muscle. You're a bodybuilder. But you're not going to put on 20 pounds of muscle in a year. You know, and if you really, I mean, whether it's you doing your own research or talking to a knowledgeable person, ask, if I don't miss a single meal, not one meal, if I don't miss a single workout, how much muscle mass at my age naturally could I put on? The answer for many is a lot less than you would think. So if we, again, arbitrary numbers, in an optimal scenario, over the course of 12 months, if you could put on 6 pounds of muscle, and that is a realistic number, you know, 6 pounds an entire year, knowing that to be the case, there's no reason why you can't transition into reverse diet right now and you maintain your weight. A lot of people think, well, I'm not growing. Well, my question is, how much of your weight gain in an off season is actual muscle? For many, it's a lot less than you think. So again, without knowing any specifics with you, if you were to transition, keeping your, let's just say your 10% body fat, 10% body fat between, you know, 10 and 12, because you got to have a little bit of a buffer. But if you transition right now into that reverse diet, not with the hopes to gain muscle. I mean, we want to, but psychologically not thinking, all right, I'm going to bulk up, gain a lot of muscle. Instead, thinking, I want to increase my metabolic capacity and decrease my cardio baselines while maintaining my weight. If you do this correctly, you absolutely, you know, stage conditioning, we can't live like that. Contest prep is like climbing Mount Everest. You know, it takes sacrifice and suffering to get there. It's a beautiful sight. When you get up there, you can't live up there though. You at 10% body fat, you can live there between 10 and 12%. You can absolutely live there. So there's no reason why you have to let yourself go and bulking up in an off season with where you're at right now to transition into an off season, to build up metabolic capacity, lower your cardio baseline, and then once you reach that level of kcals that you feel is adequate, and you give your body enough time to accept that as the new norm, then set your sights on a stage that's 20 plus weeks out. And again, knowing how much you've made progress-wise now. Imagine you starting your prep at 20 weeks out, at 24 weeks out, with your food high, your cardio low. That's going to be as easy as a prep as you will ever get. Now, if you have a passion for the stage, many people want to compete. The problem is with you, even if you want to compete right now, not only is this process just going to be more difficult than it needs to be, the final product of you on stage isn't going to be the best. You're going to lose muscle tissue. You're going to, you know, it's there, and the down regulation, metabolically and hormonally, your testosterone, you push things too far. I don't mind. The human body is resilient. So I don't mind really pushing the envelope to get that last little bit of fat off to win an elite show. But if it's almost metabolic sabotage. If you push the envelope too far, too early, at 10%, you really shouldn't be suffering that much. And if you are, the hormonal repercussions, the metabolic repercussions of what happens after the show, it's not going to be good. So I think right now, if you are around that 10% number, I think, and you're really, truly hitting a plateau that is seemingly unsurmountable, I think now is a good time to kind of consider where to go from here. And the answer very well may not be keep pushing the pedal to the metal. So.
Thank you, Lee. Zach, what were your thoughts?
Oh man, that was a lot. They pretty much covered it all. No, so the only thing I'd have to add to that, just my opinion, is say you were set on the show and you only had 8-12 weeks to go. You were stuck at this, 10-12% body fat, without knowing everything that's going on with you. Something that one of the first things I would do is maybe see if we can do just a week or two diet break, just bringing your calories back up to maintenance, see if that helps your hormone levels, or even just doing a couple days back to back of just back up to maintenance, just a higher carb, just 2 repeat days back to back. That's if, you know, if you still want to do that show. If not, then what Leaf said, just reverse dieting, bring your calories back up so you can get all your hormones and everything right, and then yeah, state that same body fat while bringing your calories up, so you're a better starting point for the next, you know, your next competition. Basically everything Leaf just said, so I won't talk about it anymore.
Scotty?
Are you working with a coach?
No. I originally was going to, but you know, nothing really worked out.
Okay, so you have a plan though. Are you
Yes.
logging everything? Okay.
Yeah.
What I've always been told is you have a toolbox, right? With all these different tools for fat loss. Don't take too many tools out at once. You want to use one until it doesn't work anymore. And then you add another tool. Then if you open the toolbox and take all the tools out at once, you got nowhere to go.
I like that analogy, Scott.
I did.
Analogy.
And Scott,
I stole it. I stole it.
I love it.
Scott brings up an amazing point. You know, not only is it not bad to, you know, use all the tools in the toolbox right away, because where do you go from there? The other thing is, let's say it's working great, that you're seeing progress. You take out too many of those tools, you have no idea what's working and what's not working.
That's right.
You got to start putting them back one at a time and figure it out. It takes forever. And you're like wasting time. Like, dang it, I pulled the hammer out too soon. Maybe it was the screwdriver. I'm not sure. Yeah. No, that's great. That's actually a really great idea. That's a good
That's
my first
Go ahead.
first show, I did too much at once, and like Lee said, you don't know what's working and what's not. So my second year, you know, I worked with a coach. Like, okay, well, let's really log what we're doing. Our first step's going to be cutting calories. Our second step's going to be maybe 5 more minutes of cardio. Blah 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 blah. And you keep adding, things, variables. That's it. I mean, if you don't know what is in the toolbox, you're going to have an awful hard time trying to find out what you need.
Yeah, I like that. Did we lose Alfred? We lost Alfred.
He went to eat.
Oh, did he? Yeah, he went to get his other meal. That's all right. Rico, do you have any questions? Are you here to help us out?
Both, but we'll start out with one question that I have. Spinach or asparagus?
What'd you say?
Spinach or asparagus?
I say asparagus.
Does it really matter, and why?
I think you get a diuretic property out of asparagus that helps you keep the water off more than spinach. I mean, that's why it just kind of helps things flow better. Asparagus, you ever notice it makes you pee more? Yeah, potent.
Yeah.
Zach,
That's
you
just my
want to jump in
personal.
so I don't steal? Do you want to take the lead, Zach, and I'll follow
No, I'm
up?
just gonna say whatever tastes good to you, and that's basically it. Whatever you can fit in your diet, tastes good, that won't make you steer. If you hate spinach, then you have a better chance of eating the other if you like the taste of it. So stick with it as long as they're keeping them the same. I mean, that's how
Yeah, so I mean, Zach really hits, my final answer goes along with Zach is, in that respect, there's not a magic food, asparagus versus spinach. So in that respect, whatever you enjoy, that's what you want to eat. Asparagus, with that being said, they are not equal. One's not necessarily better than the other. They are, they're different. Like Scott mentioned, there's a diuretic effect to asparagus, but, when it comes to anything with a diuretic effect, sodium potassium manipulation, water manipulation, none of that should even be in your vocabulary, if at all, but definitely not prior to 48 hours before your show. the body always strives for homeostasis. Whether it's a pharmaceutical diuretic, which don't take those, you already know that, or a herbal diuretic, or water manipulation, or I'm going to cut sodium. The human body is going to take countermeasures. The human body is all about actions and reactions. So any diuretic effect that asparagus has, which it does have a little bit of a diuretic effect, not a pharmaceutical one, not a super physiological one, but a mild natural diuretic effect, that no longer applies after you've been eating for a couple days, because the human body simply doesn't. You can't outsmart the human body. So really going back to what Zach meant. So really going back to what Zach said, whatever your preference is, that's really what you want to go for. Whatever you like to eat, whatever you like to, I don't want to dismiss anybody's claims or their thought process, but we see all these superfoods, and they're nutrient rich, but there's no need to put one food item on a pedestal. It's very little right and wrong. It's very little better or worse. They're just simply different. They're different micronutrients. They're different food sources. So whatever you want, whatever you would enjoy more, that's what I would suggest. So from a result point of view, you're not going to see any difference from a result point of view. So.
And if you don't like either of them, guess what? Embrace the suck. Pick one.
Hey, embrace the suck. Leaf, you need to put that on a t-shirt.
Okay, well,
that'll be our next shirt idea.
We're going to be wrapping up here soon and doing a little drawing. Zach and Leaf have generously, and myself are going to offer some prizes, and you can choose what you want. We'll do a random drawing. But before we do that, are there any other questions that you guys have that we can answer quickly?
I have one more.
All right.
Question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to ask Alfred a question because he's a little older than me, and I want to continue going, master's division. But what I was going to ask him is, what have you learned between your hiatus in your 30s and 40s to now with your training and diet as regards to back then?
Oh, wait, hold on. Alfred, you're muted. Just a second.
I just took myself off.
Okay, no, go. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest lesson I learned is a great question, but it was mentioned earlier in this conversation. When I did it in my 30s and 40s, no coach. I like training. So the training part, you never have to drag me to the gym. You have to drag me away from the gym. But I did so much on trial and error and bro science from people in the gym. And that was kind of pre-social media, but I'm reading all these articles and muscle and fitness and all of it is good advice, but I couldn't tell what I was supposed to be doing when and why. And therefore, it's amazing. I'm actually in much better shape and much more competitive shape I started back at age 57 than I was 38 to 40, especially legs. My legs were horrible back in the day, because it was easy for me to talk myself out of doing legs and to skip legs. And now I have a coach, and the coach that I have has been my mentor for like 20 years. He's like, you never asked me to help you. So I'm not going to force myself, but if you want my help. And someone said autopilot. Now I don't think. I'm extremely coachable. If you tell me what I got to do to get from point A to point B, I'll do what it takes to get from point A to point B. But if you don't have a coach and you're kind of figuring out as you go along, and the way my coach told me was like, even the best in the world at this sport still have coaches. Like Serena Williams still has a coach. Tom Brady still has a coach, because you can't see yourself. You can't see your body. You can't tell that what you used to do in one way, you're doing it a different way now. And you need that outside feedback. And so, I got my coach officially started coaching me in middle of 2018 season. After I lucked up at the DFAC World Finals, is like, if I'm going to go to the World Finals and get slaughtered by international competition, I at least need to be coached so I know what I'm doing. And I've had more success in the last 2 years, 18 months, and more confidence about my training and more confidence about my diet than I did all those years. And I was in the gym all the time. And the coaching is I don't see how anybody would do this without a coach. That's really the bottom line. And I am fully intending to do this at least until my 70s, because I feel confident about what my body can still do even at this age, because I know somebody, you know, and my coach is experienced with older competitors as well. So that helps a lot too.
Awesome.
Love it. Nice question, Scott. Good.
Yeah, great question.
Yes. I have one more question. In regards to that question about spinach or asparagus, I was asking because I was doing a lot of research, and as far as prep goes, I didn't see any added benefit either way other than the diuretic part. But that's why I was asking, because I love spinach, so I eat raw spinach during my prep like the whole time. So that's why I was asking that. Now my next question, barbell squats or belted squats? The reason I'm asking is because both my AC joints are torn. So when I do squats, I just have to suffer through it. And the gym I go to, they have the belted squat. So I just wanted to know, is there any difference between the two?
But obviously they're different. But Rico, brother, I think you answered your own question. Your AC joints are shot. You experience discomfort with the barbell squat. Don't do them anymore.
Yeah.
Don't skip leg day. I'm not saying that.
Right,
I don't.
right.
Leaf told me not to squat anymore. But just you replace it with an exercise that is comparable. So that's what it really comes down to. You still put 100% intensity. The belt squat is an amazing exercise. Does that replace your barbell squat? They're different. You know, I want to make sure that you have the muscle, you know, the stimulation there, that the intensity is still there, that you're not taking an easy option. You're not choosing the easier exercise. So you have to be honest with yourself. But especially because I have a little bit of a benefit over the rest of the panel here. I know your physique aesthetically, because visually I know your physique. Your entire physique is amazing. There's always things that we need to work on, granted, but it's not like your legs are horribly lacking in size. You know, I don't think one of the things is, you know, Rico, you know, next time we need to see bigger legs. So that's not in the equation. I really think as long as you're putting 100% effort into those, because you brought up leg day, into those leg days, you're going to be fine. If you're not avoiding, you specifically are not avoiding barbell squats because they're hard. You're doing it because there's limitations there. And I love you have a champion mentality. And I know the rest of the panel can see this. The fact that you are willing to suffer through barbell squats if that's needed. But the answer is it's not needed, as long as you're not simply removing that aspect of your training. You're replacing it with exercises that, at the end of the day, the human body doesn't know that that's a barbell squat. They just know workload. They know, muscle stimulation, time under tension. Those are the things the body recognizes. It's not the exercise's name. But no, especially if there's pre-existing shoulder issues, mobility issues there, I would say, and Scott or Zach may disagree, but I don't think it's necessary to force your body into an exercise that is no longer, I hate to say comfortable, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. And to that point, when I do belted squats, I'm definitely putting in 100% effort, and I can barely walk out when I'm done, because I superset that with hack squats and leg press.
And your knee feels better with that.
Yes. Oh, my knees are fine. Just my AC.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
I heard ACL, not your residency. But yeah, so and if that works better, and Mike Leaf said, you're killing it. Don't injure yourself so you can't lift something else.
Yeah, Leaf, you always do this to me, man. See, remember when I told you how he always spiked me up to want to just go harder?
Then you're like, okay, Kurt, do you have any other questions for us? Being our newbie on the call.
Really can't think of any. I feel like I've already learned a lot.
Good, that's good.
Alfred, I'm going to jump in before Alfred. If I know you're thinking about August for the OCB show. I hope that you at least consider the Midwest Legends Classic. Would love to have you come out to the Midwest. That is Jack Halverson's show for the USBF, but they're actually offering Pro Masters with, don't quote me on the number, but I think it's $10,000 for just the Masters.
When is it?
August. Kat, do you know?
Yeah.
But it's in August?
It's in, I think it's August. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's August 27th.
I just looked it up before we got on here. I don't know if it's that late.
I'll find it. I'll consider it.
The USBF Midwest Legends Classic. USBF, great organization. That's where Kat promotes. Very athlete-oriented federation. But yeah, they wanna have the Masters classes represent there.
Yeah, that's the big one for the Masters.
Midwest Legends Classic in August. Let me just write that down.
And I can shoot the information to you too after I have everybody's emails.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, okay, that's cool.
Yep.
Cool.
So we have a drawing, a giveaway. We did a random order of things, and the things that we're giving away is I'm giving away a free Florida Surge registration and T-shirt for our 2021 show. Zach, do you want to say what you're giving away?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say it. No, my bad. Just another call where we can kind of go over your current situation, what you're doing with your training, nutrition, see if we can optimize it somehow, and just any questions you may have, we can talk one-on-one then, and then go from there.
And Leaf.
So we have, again, I promote 9 shows to the INBA, PNBA. So we're going to offer a free class entry to any of my 9 shows. Those can be found at nattyrevolution.com, as well as a free shirt. If you go to nattyrevolution.com/shop, you'll see our shirt selection, but we'll send you out a free shirt as well. Just let Kat know, because Kat's going to be sending out all these wonderful prizes from everybody. Just let Kat know which shirt you would like, and she will make that happen.
And the size. So because we just have a smaller number here, we already did the random order drawing with the spreadsheet, and I'm going to let you choose which prize you want. So Alfred, you got number 1. Which prize did you think you would be interested in?
Florida Surge.
All right, I like it. You'll get a Florida Surge shirt from me.
When is it?
It's April 24th, 2021. So you have all year, and we are definitely love our Masters.
Okay.
Are you able to train right now, Alfred, in the Northeast?
Yeah. My gym is closed, but I've always had a lot of home equipment because I never wanted an excuse not to train. Okay. So I added, just like 1 or 2 pieces, and my coach redid my training program to help me to adapt and keep going. So I haven't been appreciably affected, even though I'm looking forward to getting back to a wider range of equipment and getting back to the gym. But I've been fine so far.
Awesome.
All right, number 2, Rico.
Oh, wow. What were my choices again?
You get a free diet evaluation and comp prep packet session with Zach, or a free registration to one of Leaf's shows and a T-shirt.
Oh, wow, that's tough. Oh, wow. Man. I think I'm going to have to go with the Leaf shirt and show.
All right.
Zach, I am going to reach out to you, brother.
All right. Yeah, no problem.
Rico, we can chat. I mean, because I know that's, you're always a presence at our events. If you would rather have some VIP tickets for the family or some of your fans, whatever you need, let Kat know, or you and I can talk, and I'll send it out to Kat so she can get out to you. So whether it's the VIP tickets for your fans, the show entry, or their shirt, we'll take care of you.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, man.
And Kurt, you get a free evaluation with Zach, which will be awesome. Since you don't have a coach right now, it might be a good opportunity for you to get a good insight from someone who's in the field.
Since we already
get a big smile on your face there. So I want to thank all of you, especially the panel. You guys, thank you so much. I know you love this sport, and you are all an inspiration to me. And I'm so glad I got to meet you athletes. And I will get all this stuff together. I'm going to put the Q&As in an email. We'll get them out to you guys. And also, we recorded this. I'll get it edited and get it out on Facebook too. That way you can share it with your friends or anyone who's interested in our sport, because we love the more people, the merrier, right?
There you go.
Nice.
All right. Thank you all for coming. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, we got to do it again.
See you, everybody.
We will.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.